Hi, welcome to the Gamesplainer. I'm Jeff the Gamesplainer and today I'm Gamesplaining Village. In the first video I gave you a brief overview of how the game plays and how it runs. I did neglect to say however that each turn you will only take one influence cube and then it's the next person's turn to take one influence cube. That's a basic of worker placement games, so please forgive me for neglecting to state that. It is one of the obvious or more obvious things that people should know, but you know, when there's new gamers, they don't necessarily know these things, and there are a couple of games where one player will do everything they possibly can and then the next player will do everything they possibly can. That's not this game. You get to take one influence cube and action that space, then the other player gets to do the same and then it comes back to you, etc, etc. You'll also notice that I've got some red meeples dotted around the board down in the cemetery spaces and in the Village Chronicles. This is actually set up for a two-player game. There are numbers underneath there, so for a three-player game, you would leave the number 3s open. For a four-player game, all of them are open. That is the only difference on a two-player game, other than this board here, which tells you how to field the spaces. These numbers are telling you how many influence cubes go onto each spot. So let's run through the things I didn't touch on. We'll start over here in the craft buildings. There are 5 influence cubes on the craft buildings. Each of the craft buildings will create something different. There are 2 ways in which the craft buildings can work. The first way is you can take one of your family members and send them to work in the particular craft building. When you do that, it will cost you 2 time. So you put him out there, spend 2 time to move your marker to there. Once you have a worker in the building, you can spend another 2 time to create what the building actually does, which is this document. And so I'd spend another 2 time and take that document marker. Documents are also known as scrolls in this game. Please forgive my change of wording. The other way that you could get a scroll or document from this space if you didn't send a worker there is to spend a pink influence cube to take the scroll. And that's the same with all of them. So this building, you're able to get ox or horses. It will cost you 3 time to get a worker trained up, and then that worker will spend 3 time to create either of those 2 animals, or you could just spend 3 grain without having a worker in the building. This one is about creating the carts. It's 2 time for both training your villager or worker up, and then another 2 time to create the cart, or you could spend an orange and pink cube to take the cart, and same with the plow, except it's 3 time, but still orange and pink. The other space which you're not able to send a worker to is the mill. At the mill, you swap 2 grain and 2 time for 2 coins. Once again, coins can be used as influence cubes if necessary. The reason you would want to get scrolls or horses or ox is firstly on your player board. If you can have a plow and a horse, that will get you 3 grain. I talked about this in the first video, but it's worth drawing this out here as well. Plow and an ox will get you 4 grain, and that's whenever you action this space if you have a villager on your farm still to be able to actually plow the wheat or grain or whatever goes into those bags. The other thing that you will tend to need to use items for is for sale. Up in the top left hand corner, there is only 1 influence cube available in that corner. What happens when one player takes the cube? They are instigating a market day. In the market day, any of the face-up tiles are available for you to sell to. So these are people coming through your market or the market stalls, and this is the equipment that they require. So this particular buyer is looking to purchase 4 bags of grain. If you have 4 bags of grain, you can sell them to this person, and you take this token, put it upside down next to your board, and at the end of the game, that will be worth 4 prestige points to you. You don't take those points straight away. You hold them back and keep this upside down, so it's hidden points at the end of the game, so no one's never quite sure who's won until we count all of them up. So if the first player who actioned the market day were to take that one, the next player to their left is able to go to the market day and spend a green influence cube and a time to be able to fulfill one of the other open workers. I've left these ones upside down. In actuality, during the game, they are face up. They're just not available during a market day. So you can cast your eye forward and see what's coming up to be that's going to need to be sold, so you can get them into your fields, into your wherever you hold your stuff, so that you're able to sell it when these guys come up. But for the moment, it's only these guys available. Once each person passes or purchases something, it comes back to the person who instigated the market day, and they then get a chance to, once again, they'll have to use the green influence cube and the time this time through. The first time they don't have to because they instigated the market day, but after that they will need to if they wish to sell or are able to sell more of the items to the other purchasers on the way through. Coming around to the travel area of the board, the top right hand corner, when you take an influence cube to show that you are traveling, you will then need to pay either 2 time and a cart and 2 pink influence cubes to travel to the first town or village along the track. When you get there, you will take 3 points and put a marker to show that you've been there. You will only get the bonus in the circle once per village that you go to, and so you mark it with the token to show that you've been there, so you remember where you've been. Each time you travel from village to village, you're going to need to pay a cost. That cost is always 2 time and a wagon, plus some influence cubes of various colors. If you notice down the left-hand side of this area, it shows you a key for points at the end of the game. So if you've only visited one of these villages by the end of the game, you're only going to get 1 point. If you've managed to get to 3 of them, you'll get 6 points. If you've managed to get to all 6, it's worth 18 points. As with all of the other spaces, there is no limit to the number of different coloured meeples that can be travelling around that area, and every player is able to claim each of the cities once for themselves, and every player will get the points and the bonuses, so no one gets locked out of anything in this game. Coming down to the council chambers, when you go into the council chambers, once again, take an influence cube, you will go to the first window or first area of the council chambers. The first person there each round will take this marker. This marker is showing that the player who took it will be the next first player. So at the end of the round, once everything has happened, the mass has happened, we restock the influence cubes. The person who has this takes the first player marker and returns the ring to the first space of the chamber. In order to action that space, you'll either need to spend a scroll or 2 green influence cubes. The next time you go there, you'll take the other influence cube. Say blue has gone there again, blue can send another worker into that same space and once again pay the 1 time. So I may have forgotten to say that. Whenever there's a picture of the hourglass, you pay that much in time and a scroll or 2 influence cubes to action that space. Now, because that space would have already been actioned, if this was the turn, he won't need to pay that resource. He will have to pay the time, but he won't have to pay the resource because he won't be actioning the actual space. Or the other thing that blue could do if he were to take that second influence cube would be to spend 2 time to move his guy up a window or up a spot. Once again, spend the scroll or 2 green influence cubes, and he would gain 2 influence cubes of his choice. And as you move up, this one allows him to take any of the 5 available options from the craft building, and when he finally actions the top one, it's 3 time to do it, but he will spend a coin to gain 3 points. Now the coins at the end of the game are actually only worth 1 point, so that triples the value of coins in terms of point values. The other thing that I could do if my worker was here, I take the influence cube from there, I can just spend the 2 green influence or the scroll to action this space again and get 2 other influence cubes. I don't need to spend the time each time I action the space, I just need to spend the time in order to move into the space. I dealt with the wedding spot or family spot, I believe they call it, and the church in the previous one. So that is actually all of the spaces dealt with. The iconography is relatively straightforward. If there's a picture of a cube of a certain color, you're going to spend the cube of that color. If there's a picture of grey cubes, then you're going to pick up that number of your choice of cube. If there's a slash, you have a choice of spending what's on either side in order to be able to action the space. And if there's a picture of an hourglass, you'll be moving one step further along the time trail. I hope this gives you a good feel for Village, and I hope this helps you get Village to the table. If you have any games that you wish to be gamesplaned, please shoot me an email at thegamesplainer@gmail.com. If you have any comments or suggestions, please write them below. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at thegamesplainer to see what games I'm playing. Subscribe to my videos to keep up to date with the games that I'm gamesplaining. And until next time, enjoy gaming.